So I'm 19, and honestly, I never thought I'd be telling this story publicly. But my brain's been on overdrive, and if I don't get this all out, I might explode. So here goes. It started when I was just 14. I was your typical freshman in high school, thought my biggest issue was going to be algebra or remembering my locker combo. But life had different plans. My dad started feeling really tired all the time, and we figured it was just stress from work. That man worked so hard, always running around, always doing stuff for other people. Then one regular Tuesday, like totally normal, I came home from school thinking about leftover mac and cheese or something. My mom sat me down in the kitchen. She looked like she hadn't slept in days, and she just said it, stage 4, pancreatic cancer. That sentence didn't even feel real. Stage 4. Like, what does that even mean when you're 14? The next 6 months were a blur, like I was watching someone else's life play out. My dad got sick fast, really fast. He lost all his hair, all his weight, and even his Goofy Bears jersey looked huge on him. But he still tried to make me laugh, still helped me with math, still cracked the worst dad jokes from his hospital bed. The last thing he ever said to me was, "Don't let your mom's cooking kill you before I get back." Classic dad. He didn't come back. He died on a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays used to be pizza night. We'd get this deep dish from the same place every week. Instead of pizza, I was sitting in a hospital waiting room with those flickering overhead lights, watching my mom cry into her phone as she called every relative she could think of. That was the first time I realized the world doesn't stop just because yours falls apart. And I thought that was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Oh, how wrong I was. After Dad passed, Mom changed. Not like I'm grieving and need time changed. Like 2 months later, she was dating again. She said she needed to feel alive. And then came Derek. Real estate developer. Rich. Way too smooth. He started showing up all the time, taking her on getaways, buying her designer stuff. I tried to be supportive. I really did. I mean, Dad wouldn't want her to be miserable forever, right? But it got weird fast. Like within a year, she married him. Didn't even tell me they were engaged. One day she's like, "Try on this dress." And I'm like, "For what?" She goes, "Oh, for the wedding. You're the junior bridesmaid." The wedding was at this super fancy country club in Newport Beach. All Derek's rich friends were there, sipping champagne and probably wondering what this teenage girl in Payless Flats was doing there. I spent half the reception hiding in the bathroom. Then came the kicker. They moved into Derek's giant house, the type pool, tennis court bathrooms with towel warmers, but there was no room for me. Mom told me I'd be more comfortable living with my Aunt Lisa in Chicago. Like, are you serious? Comfortable. I'm your kid, not a houseplant you drop off with a neighbor while you go on vacation. So just like that, I got shipped off to Chicago, landed in this cold, expensive neighborhood called Lincoln Park. Aunt Lisa lived in this massive house with Uncle Marcus and their 2 kids, my cousins Michael and Rebecca. They're just a couple years older than me, and we used to be close when we were little. Summer visits, blanket forts, made up games. But those memories didn't last long once I moved in. It was like I wasn't a cousin anymore, just this weird outsider taking up space in their perfect house. Michael would accidentally knock over my stuff. Rebecca made these constant digs about how her clothes were too high-end for me to borrow. I didn't even have proper winter gear, and she just rolled her eyes when I asked if I could use an extra jacket. And Aunt Lisa, she made it very clear I was a burden, started charging me rent at 15. I wasn't even old enough to get a driver's license, but sure, I'll just Venmo you some cash, Lisa. And my mom, she ghosted me, gone, like poof. She'd send a little money now and then, barely enough to cover Lisa's rent. But that was it. No calls, no check-ins, just Instagram posts of her and Derek living their best lives in Europe, sipping wine on yachts, dancing at charity balls. And get this, she archived all our old family photos online. The ones with Dad, the ones with me. Said they didn't match her aesthetic. like I was some out-of-style throw pillow she didn't want to look at anymore. So I'm sitting there in Aunt Lisa's cold, fancy house, staring at wallpaper that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe, feeling like I didn't just lose my dad, I lost my mom too. A month in, Lisa says the rent's going up, something about property taxes. I'm like, cool, guess I need a job. That's when Rebecca, ever the helpful cousin, tells me about this 24-hour laundromat hiring near the sketchy part of town. Literally between a creepy phone repair place and an abandoned doll shop. The owner, Jerry, is this cranky older guy who looks me up and down and says I'm way too young to work the night shift. I told him I could start. That night wouldn't complain, and just like that, age didn't matter anymore. And that's how I started working the midnight shift at a freezing laundromat in a sketchy neighborhood with a heater that barely worked. The customers. Half of them didn't speak. The other half spoke way too much about things I never wanted to hear. I'd wear 3 hoodies at once just to not freeze. But even that wasn't enough. Aunt Lisa's rent was high, and I still needed food, school supplies, basic things. So I picked up another job, gas station, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., just enough time to nap between shifts if I was lucky. And, as if my life wasn't already miserable, Michael and Rebecca made it worse. So yeah, while I was trying to juggle school and 2 jobs just to stay afloat, my cousins decided it'd be hilarious to make things harder. I was working the 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. shift at this place called Quick Stop, a gas station not far from their private school, which, by the way, probably cost more than I'd make in a year. Of course, that meant I was easy pickings for their entertainment. Michael and his friends started showing up during my shifts. They'd knock over chip displays I had just fixed, spill their Slurpees by accident, and leave open bags of jerky all over the counter, like they were starring in their own dumb prank show. And every time I cleaned it up, they'd snicker and walk out like they'd just saved comedy. Rebecca wasn't better. She and her cheerleader clique would strut in and start fake gagging at the smell of the store or my uniform. Polyester apparently was beneath them. They'd talk loud enough for everyone to hear, saying stuff like, "Oh my God, imagine having to work here, I'd rather die." And they'd take pictures of me cleaning floors or stocking shelves and post them to social media with captions like, "Hatch, work hard," or whatever. I mean, who even does that? But the real gut punch, they didn't stop at work. They brought it into school too. I was attending the public high school nearby, and somehow Rebecca made sure everyone knew where I worked. People started leaving quarters on my desk, calling me washer girl. Someone even stuck a fake name tag on my locker with that written in Sharpie. Creative stuff, real cutting-edge bullying. I was so exhausted, you guys. I mean, picture it. Midnight to 6 a.m. at the laundromat home. By 6:30 shower. If the water heater at Aunt Lisa's house wasn't being temperamental then, off to school from 7:30 to 2. After that, it was straight to Quick Stop until 10. Then try to sleep for an hour or 2 before starting over. I wasn't living, I was surviving. Teachers noticed I was sleeping in class. They asked if things were okay at home, and I'd just smile and say, just adjusting to a new environment like I was some exchange student, not a kid, slowly falling apart. I didn't want pity. I didn't want to explain everything. What was I supposed to say? Yeah, I'm renting a basement corner from my aunt, working 2 jobs, and I can barely afford winter boots. Honestly, the only bright spot in all of that was this guy named Pete. He was homeless, came into the laundromat most nights. He was quiet, respectful, never asked for much. He'd sit in the corner, warming his hands near the machines. He showed me how to fix the quarter slot when it jammed, and taught me how to spot the customers who were going to be trouble versus the ones who just needed clean clothes and a place to be warm. One night he looked at me and said, "Kid, you're living life on expert mode." It was the first time I'd laughed in weeks. Pete disappeared when the weather turned brutal. I don't know what happened to him. I still think about that. Some people just vanish. Meanwhile, Uncle Marcus, who owned the building, was this mysterious, almost invisible presence. I never saw him, but I knew he had eyes on the place. Sometimes I'd spot a black SUV pulling up outside, just sitting there with the engine running. Tinted windows. No one ever got out. I figured maybe it was security or some property manager. I never thought twice. And Mom? Well, she was still MIA, except for the occasional text that read like a Hallmark card. Hope you're doing well. That kind of thing. Like she wasn't the one who dumped me on a relative and vanished into a rich Instagram life. Aunt Lisa kept finding new ways to raise the rent. Utilities are higher, she said. HOA fees went up. Then one day, she straight up told me my corner of the basement was prime real estate. Like, sure, the moldy walls and weird mushrooms growing under the radiator just scream luxury. At that point, I started stashing cash in this old teddy bear my dad gave me. It was beat up the stitching, fraying around the ears, but it made me feel safe. I was saving for my escape plan, a crappy apartment, a room to myself, anything. I knew it'd take time, but I just needed to get out of that house. Every time I got close to a decent amount, something would come up. My boots fell apart in the snow, so there went $60. Michael accidentally backed into my car in the driveway, and even though it was his fault, I had to pay for the repair. And then the final straw. I came home one night exhausted from the quick stop shift to find my room completely torn apart. My clothes on the floor drawers yanked open, and my teddy bear, my poor beat-up bear, was shredded, stuffing everywhere. And of course, all the cash I'd hidden inside, gone. Rebecca swore she was just cleaning and had no idea about any money. Right, because obviously she just had to deep clean a moldy corner of the basement in the middle of the week. And then, as if that weren't enough, Aunt Lisa comes downstairs the same week and tells me rent is going up again, but not just a little, double, because apparently property values in the area are skyrocketing. I did the math, and even with both jobs, I couldn't make it work anymore. But here's the thing. Despite everything, I'd been taking classes at the local community college. Nothing fancy, just basics. I figured if I could power through high school while working, I could keep going. I talked to a counselor who told me I could qualify for more aid if I took a few more credits. But to do that, I had to stop paying Aunt Lisa's ridiculous rent. So I chose education. I packed what little I had, mostly clothes and my school stuff, into my old Toyota. The thing had rust around the wheels, and the heat only worked if you kicked the dashboard just right, but it was mine. And that first night sleeping in my car, it wasn't awful. I parked behind the laundromat, used my work keys to sneak in and use the bathroom. I reclined the driver's seat, used my backpack as a pillow, and wrapped up in like 5 blankets I borrowed from the laundromat's Lost and Found. I remember thinking, this isn't so bad. Like I'd found a weird kind of peace. No snide comments, no random rent hikes, just me, my car, and some quiet. Then winter hit, and everything changed. Chicago winter doesn't play around. Like real winter. The kind where the wind doesn't just hit your face, it punches it. The kind where your eyelashes freeze when you blink too slow. And let me tell you, sleeping in your car during that kind of cold, it's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. My car's battery started giving up. I couldn't keep the heat running all night, or the engine would die. So I layered everything I owned, hoodies, socks, scarves, until I looked like a walking laundry basket just to stay alive. I'd wake up with stiff fingers, numb toes, and foggy windows from my breath. But I kept going. The worst part wasn't the cold, though. It was pretending everything was fine. You ever try to act normal when your entire life is in a Toyota? I'd sneak into the laundromat early to brush my teeth, rinse off in the gross staff bathroom, change into one of the 3 outfits I rotated like a capsule wardrobe, but make it survival mode. Then I'd walk into school like nothing was wrong. Why does your homework smell like fabric softener? Why do you always wear the same shoes? Why do you look so tired all the time? I'd laugh it off, dodge questions, smile through the exhaustion. What else could I do? Oh yeah, I live in my car, but don't worry, it's parked in a really classy alleyway behind a phone repair shop. Then Michael, the cousin who used to prank me for sport, decided to go full Sherlock Holmes. I guess he started wondering why I wasn't at the house anymore. Maybe he noticed his favorite punching bag wasn't around to mock. Either way, he followed me one night after my laundromat shift. And the next morning, I woke up to a TikTok video. Actually, several TikTok videos. My homeless cousin, a documentary. That's what he called it. He filmed everything, me getting into my car with frost-covered windows, me trying to study, under the laundromat's neon sign. Even a clip of me changing shirts in the back seat, shot from across the street like he was making some indie drama. And people watched. Oh, they watched. The videos blew up in their rich kid circle. Suddenly, people were driving by the laundromat at night, honking, throwing fast food wrappers at my car, taking selfies outside my window like I was some kind of attraction. I became washer girl all over again, but this time viral. The police started knocking on my window too. "You can't sleep here, miss." I'd nod, thank them, and drive around the block until they left. Then I'd come back. Sometimes I didn't even stop. I'd just keep driving, gas gauge sinking lower and lower, praying I'd have enough left to make it to work. And during all of that, while I was doing everything I could to just survive, I started noticing that same black SUV again. The one with the tinted windows, always parked across the street from the laundromat. Different spots every night, but always there. Engine running, never moved, never rolled the window down. At first, I thought it was a cop, or worse, someone watching me for reasons I didn't want to think about. But they never approached, never caused problems, just watched. Then came the night I truly hit rock bottom. It was -5 degrees, not wind chill, actual temperature. My car wouldn't start. My phone was dead. And worst of all, the laundromat was closed for maintenance that night. My only source of warmth locked. I curled up in my front seat, wearing every layer I owned. Tried to think warm thoughts. Tried to remember the smell of Dad's chili, or the feeling of our old couch, or the sound of him laughing at his own jokes. But all I could feel was the cold creeping in. I honestly thought I might not wake up. Then, like out of a dream, or maybe a nightmare, someone knocked on my window. I thought it was a cop, or maybe a creep. But when I looked up, there was Uncle Marcus, standing in the snow like it was totally normal to be out at 2 a.m. in Arctic weather, wearing a wool coat that probably cost more than my car. No gloves, no hat, just standing there calm as anything. He said 5 words, "I think we need to talk." And I just stared at him like, "Are you serious right now?" Turns out, the black SUV, that was his. He'd been watching me through the laundromat's security cameras for weeks, sending his guys in the SUV to check in on me, not to stop me, not to drag me back to Aunt Lisa's luxury prison. He wanted to see what I was made of. Weird, yes. Messed up. Absolutely. But at that moment, I didn't care. I was too cold, too tired, and honestly too stunned. So I followed him. He led me upstairs to this office space above the laundromat I didn't even know existed. Warm, cozy, a little desk, a mini fridge, a bathroom with actual hot water, and best of all, the heat. Real heat. He handed me a cup of hot coffee. Good coffee, not gas station sludge. And he just watched me as I held it with shaking hands like I was some equation he was trying to solve. Then he said something I'll never forget. "You know, your dad and I used to sleep in a car too." I nearly dropped the mug. Apparently, back when they were teenagers, my dad and Uncle Marcus were dirt poor. Their mom worked 3 jobs. They couldn't afford rent half the time. There's even a picture he showed me. 2 scrawny teens eating beans straight out of the can in an old van. One of them was my dad. That same goofy smile I remembered from childhood, just younger. They used to hang out in that exact laundromat to stay warm. The original owner let them fix machines, sweep the floor, crash in the back room when it got too cold. That owner got sick, and when he couldn't run the place anymore, he offered to sell it to them. My dad had just gotten a college scholarship, so he couldn't buy in. But Uncle Marcus had been saving every penny from construction jobs, so he bought it for practically nothing. That was the start, the beginning of everything. And now, here I was freezing in my car, behind the same building they once called home. Uncle Marcus pulled open a drawer and took out a stack of old papers, property deeds, contracts, business plans with my dad's handwriting all over them, notes in the margins, ideas, inside jokes only they understood. He looked at me and said, "Your dad made me promise 2 things. Look out for you and make sure you learn to look out for yourself. Gotta say, you're doing better at the second part than I expected." And then he reached into his pocket, pulled out a key. "To the apartment above the office," he said. "It's yours. No rent, as long as you keep working hard and keep your grades up." I tried to argue, said it felt like charity. He cut me off. "This isn't charity. It's an investment." So there I was, sitting in a warm office, holding a cup of real coffee, staring at this shiny little key in Uncle Marcus's hand like it was made of gold. I didn't know what to say. I'd been fighting so hard for every dollar, every second of rest, every inch of dignity. And now, out of nowhere, someone was handing me safety, stability, a place of my own. I kept shaking my head, trying to tell him no, that I didn't want pity, that I could make it work, that I was fine. But he looked me dead in the eye and said it again, slower this time. "This is not charity." He tapped the key against the table. "This is an investment in you." Then he pulled open a folder from the desk drawer and started laying stuff out. I mean, this man had receipts. He'd been keeping track of everything, copies of my school transcripts, notes from my college counselor reports, from Jerry, the laundromat owner, even screenshots of the TikToks Michael and Rebecca had posted. He pointed to one of the screenshots. It was a freeze frame of me sitting in my car, surrounded by empty fast food bags and laundry baskets, trying to study. "They thought they were shaming you," he said, "but all I saw, someone who refuses to break." And I just sat there, crying, like really crying, the ugly kind, no control, no holding it in, just everything spilling out all at once, because someone had finally seen me. Not as a problem or a burden or a punchline, but as a person. Uncle Marcus let me cry, didn't say a word, just sat there while I sobbed into my sleeves like a kid who skinned her knee. And when I finally stopped, he handed me the key. "You earned this," he said. "Now go upstairs, get some sleep. You've got work in the morning." The apartment was small, just one room, a little kitchenette, a bathroom with water pressure that made me feel rich. But it was mine. I had a bed, a real bed, a door I could lock, heat, safety. I curled up that night in sheets that smelled like fabric softener and let myself sleep more than 3 hours for the first time in forever. I wish the story ended there, but you know it didn't. Because the next morning my phone blew up. Texts, missed calls, voicemails, all from Aunt Lisa. Apparently, Michael had driven by the laundromat on his way to school and saw me walking down from the upstairs apartment. And of course he took pictures, because why not? Aunt Lisa went ballistic. She showed up at the laundromat in the middle of my shift in full-on yoga warrior gear, designer leggings, oversized sunglasses, the whole suburban villain starter pack. And she didn't wait, didn't even breathe before she started yelling. "You little manipulator! How dare you come on to my husband like that?" I dropped the mop I was holding. Wait, what? Customers were frozen mid-spin cycle. Some lady who brings her cat blankets every Wednesday started recording on her phone. Aunt Lisa just kept going. "I always knew you were trouble. Just like your mother, throwing yourself at men, playing the innocent act. You think you can just seduce your way into a fortune." I couldn't even speak. I mean, seduce. I was homeless, wearing the same pair of shoes for months. What part of this situation screamed gold digger? Jerry, bless his cranky heart, came out from the back and told her she had 60 seconds to leave, or he was calling the cops. She left, but not before hissing, "This isn't over." And I knew right then things were about to blow up. That night I heard shouting from upstairs. Uncle Marcus and Aunt Lisa going at it. I couldn't hear every word, but I caught bits and pieces. "That girl, you promised. She's using you. How dare you?" It went on for over an hour, Doors slammed, something glass shattered, and then silence. The next morning, Uncle Marcus came down to the laundromat. He looked tired, shadows under his eyes, like he hadn't slept at all. He didn't say much, just gave me this look. One of those looks that says everything without saying anything. Then, because life has a twisted sense of humor, guess who decided to crawl out of the woodwork? My mom. After months of silence, no birthday text, no, "Hey, are you still alive?" Suddenly, she was calling me every hour, leaving voicemails that started out, "I'm worried about you," and ended with, "Call me immediately." You can probably guess why. Rebecca. Of course, Rebecca sent her the drama, sent her the photos, the videos, the gossip. And the next day, there's a knock at the apartment door. I opened it, and there she was, my mom, in a designer trench coat, holding her purse like it might catch poverty if it touched anything in my apartment. And behind her, Derek, stepdad extraordinaire, still fake tanned, still smug. They both looked around my tiny space like it was a museum exhibit titled "How the Other Half Lives." "Oh, honey," my mom said, but it came out wrong, like she was saying it to a broken doll, not her daughter. "This is quaint." I didn't offer them a seat. There wasn't much to offer anyway, unless they wanted to sit on my unmade bed or the wobbly folding chair I used for studying. Then she got to it. "We've been hearing things about you and your Uncle Marcus." My stomach dropped. Like what I asked, crossing my arms. Derek stepped in, trying his best to look authoritative. "We're just concerned. The situation, it looks bad." I laughed. I couldn't help it. It was ugly, sarcastic, and loud. I waved a hand around my studio apartment. "Oh yeah," I said, "super suspicious stuff going on here. Living alone, working, not dying in a frozen car. Scandalous." My mom gave me that fake sad smile, the one she probably practiced in the mirror for charity photos. "Sweetie," she said, "you're young, I get it, but you're being clever, getting close to Marcus like this. It's smart. I wouldn't have thought of it at your age." And that's when it hit me. She thought I was manipulating him. She thought I was trying to get his money. I stared at her, then at Derek, then back at her. "You really think I'm using him?" I asked. "Well, aren't you?" she said. "Living here, working in his business, spending time with him. Come on, it's obvious." And that's when something inside me snapped. I stood there, staring at my mom, like I'd never really seen her before. My throat tightened, my pulse pounding in my ears. "You think I'm here for money," I said, and it came out rough, like I had to drag every word through fire. She didn't flinch, just kept looking around the apartment like she couldn't believe her daughter was living in a place with peeling linoleum and a secondhand microwave. "Well, aren't you?" she said, again voice all light and sugar-coated, like she wasn't accusing her own kid of being a con artist. "Living in this apartment, working at the laundromat, getting close to Marcus. It's obvious what you're doing." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so far from anything real that it almost broke me. "Obvious to who?" I said. "You, the woman who sent me across the country like a return package and never called again." "That's not fair," she started. "No, you know what's not fair," I snapped. "You ghosting me after Dad died. You marrying Derek like 10 months later, then dumping me with Aunt Lisa like I was a piece of furniture that didn't match your new aesthetic." "I was grieving," she said quietly. "You were upgrading," I said. "You were building a better life with a richer man. And now that I've got something you don't control, you're back here pretending to care." Derek finally decided to open his mouth. "Now listen here, young lady." "No." I cut him off. "You listen. Where was your concern when Aunt Lisa was charging me rent at 15, when I was working midnight shifts at a laundromat and a gas station just to eat, when I was sleeping in my car during a blizzard and no one answered the phone?" He glanced at my mom like he expected her to step in. She didn't. "You want proof," I said. "Hospital records from when I got bronchitis sleeping in that freezing car. Pay stubs from Quick Stop and the laundromat. Rent receipts, Lisa made me keep all while you were sipping champagne on a yacht in Santorini. That's ancient history, my mom said, fidgeting with her wedding ring. The new one, not Dad's, the one Derek had upgraded to match her lifestyle. I pointed at it. That ring looks desperate. She jerked back like I'd slapped her. We're here to help. Now, Derek said, voice fake smooth. I have a friend who runs a wonderful boarding school in Switzerland. Oh, now you want to help, I said, cutting him off. Because you heard I was learning the business. Scared I might actually be getting something that you think should go to you. My mom's face twisted. The mask slipped. Marcus was your father's brother, she said. Anything of his should come to me. Ex-wife, I said, cold and steady. You're his ex-wife, who remarried less than a year after he died. I deserve, she started. You deserve nothing, I said. Dad and Marcus built this business together from nothing while you were busy planning charity galas with Derek. While I've been fixing washing machines, learning bookkeeping, managing customers, you were playing dress-up for Instagram likes. She made a face. Your father was a teacher. He played around in Marcus's business like it was some hobby. I pointed at the door. Get out. She blinked. What? Go back to your perfect life with your perfect husband. Go plan another gala. Go filter more family photos so no one has to see Dad. Just get out. Derek stepped forward again, puffing up. Now see here. No, I said firm. You see here, I know exactly why you're both here. You're not worried about me. You're worried about your spot in Marcus's will. Scared I might learn too much. Might become useful. Might actually matter. My mom's face went red. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. How dare you, she finally hissed. No, I said. How dare you? You abandoned me. You let your sister treat me like trash. You let me sleep in a freezing car. And now that someone sees value in me, you come crawling back, acting like it's all concern. She was trembling now. Derek was already halfway toward the door, pulling out his phone, probably texting someone to come pick them up. I walked over and opened the door. By the way, I said, as she walked past me, that pantsuit makes you look really desperate. She didn't say another word, just stormed out. And I closed the door and slid down to the floor, shaking breath catching in my throat. Through the walls, I could hear her outside. I told you this would happen. That little gold digger is going to try to take everything. But I didn't move. I just sat there, let it all settle. Because I finally realized I didn't need her anymore. After the whole apartment ambush with my mom and Derek, things went weirdly quiet, like too quiet. No more random knocks at my door. No angry texts. No fake concerned voicemails. Nothing. Which should have felt like relief, but it didn't. It felt like the calm before the storm. And I was right. A few days later, I was on shift at the laundromat, just wiping down the folding tables, minding my own business, when Michael came sprinting through the front doors like he'd just seen a ghost. He was pale, sweaty, and absolutely panicked. I need to talk to you, he gasped. Now keep in mind, this is the same cousin who used to leave laundry detergent caps under my tires just to watch me trip in the mornings. So I was instantly suspicious. But then he showed me Aunt Lisa's iPad. Apparently, he'd been using it to do some dumb school project and forgot to log out. Then a message popped up from someone saved as D. It read, "Everything's ready for next week. Lisa baby, we're finally gonna be free."
Yep.
D was Derek, as in my stepdad, as in the man married to my mom. They'd been texting for months. Michael, being nosy and possibly traumatized, opened the messages, and what he found blew the top off everything. Dozens of emails, secret accounts, hidden messages, talk of wire transfers, plane tickets, a plan to run away together with millions. They'd been planning it for almost a year. Every time Aunt Lisa had raised my rent, that money had gone straight into a slush fund, a secret account she and Derek were building. They were going to drain Uncle Marcus's business and disappear. Michael showed me the texts, the spreadsheets, the receipts, and I wanted to scream. Not because I was shocked, because deep down I'd known something was wrong, but because these people were monsters in designer clothes. Michael looked at me, panic written all over his face. I didn't know who else to tell, he said. I thought you'd, I don't know what to do. For the first time ever, Michael wasn't mocking me. He wasn't trying to ruin my day. He was genuinely scared. So I called Uncle Marcus. And here's the thing, a big part of me wanted to just let it all burn. Let them run, get caught, lose everything. Some poetic justice. Karma deluxe. But then I remembered my dad. And what Uncle Marcus said, that my dad had made him promise to look out for me, but also to make sure I could look out for myself. So I did what I knew he'd want me to do. Uncle Marcus showed up fast. Like faster than I thought possible for a man who wore loafers that probably cost more than my rent used to. Michael was still shaking as he handed over the iPad. Uncle Marcus scrolled in silence, his face going blank. No emotion, no blinking, just processing. And then he started making calls. Turns out his lawyer had already been suspicious for a while. Some business accounts weren't adding up. But Aunt Lisa handled all the paperwork, and since she was family, no one thought to question it. Until now. The lawyers went full investigation mode. They found everything. Fake companies set up under Aunt Lisa's name, phantom maintenance fees, massive checks to vendors that didn't exist, offshore accounts, and the total $4.3 million. Yeah, let that number sink in. They'd already moved nearly $1 million. Oh, and the worst part, some of that money had come from Rebecca and Michael's college funds. Their own mother was stealing their future to run away with my stepdad. I couldn't breathe when I heard that. Uncle Marcus, he didn't even react. He just nodded slowly, like he'd finally put together a puzzle that had been bothering him for months. Then he started pulling people in his IT guys, financial investigators, even a private security team. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was fraud, like federal crime level stuff. And while all this was happening, Aunt Lisa kept posting her usual yoga selfies on Instagram. Derek kept whining and dining my mom. They were living their lies in public while planning their getaway in private. Rebecca found out next. She came to my apartment one night, no makeup, mascara stains under her eyes, wrapped in a hoodie, 3 sizes too big, and asked if she could stay the night. I blinked at her. She blinked back. And then she just crumpled, started sobbing, saying how sorry she was, how stupid, how blind. She curled up on my tiny futon, used my $3 shampoo, and borrowed my Target leggings. And weirdly, I didn't hate her. Not anymore. Because for the first time in her life, she got it. She was scared, lost, and learning that money doesn't protect you from betrayal, especially not when it's your own parents doing the betraying. We didn't talk much that night, just sat on opposite ends of the futon, watching the ceiling, waiting for the sun to come up. Meanwhile, the investigation kept growing. Uncle Marcus's team tracked every account, every transaction. His IT guys were monitoring digital movement in real time. They knew when Aunt Lisa logged in, knew when Derek sent her coded emails. The plan was to catch them right before they made their move. The trap was set. But something must have spooked Lisa because she started acting jumpy, transferring money faster, whispering on phone calls, paranoid. We knew time was running out. And then came Michael's 18th birthday. Aunt Lisa had planned this huge party. DJ catering a backyard mini golf setup like nothing was wrong. She was smiling, laughing, hugging people, all while planning to disappear the next day. And that's when Uncle Marcus decided it was time. So picture this. It's a Saturday afternoon, blue skies, balloon arches, fancy people sipping fizzy drinks by the pool, DJ playing top 40 hits, kids in loafers and pearls eating cake that probably cost more than my entire high school wardrobe. It's Michael's 18th birthday party, and the whole thing is a trap. Aunt Lisa is gliding around the backyard like a Pinterest queen, perfect hair, perfect smile, like she doesn't have $4.3 million of stolen money hidden in offshore accounts. Derek shows up a little late, all swagger and fake charm, carrying this massive wrapped gift. Turns out it was some fancy new gaming system, probably a last-minute bribe for Michael to stay quiet. My mom's there too. She hasn't spoken to me since our showdown in the apartment, but she's floating around the party like nothing happened, laughing with guests, air-kissing old friends, playing the picture-perfect wife to a man she didn't know was about to ruin her life. Rebecca and I were on normal patrol, pretending everything was fine, even though we were seconds from a literal FBI raid. Michael was pacing like he was about to pass out, and honestly, I didn't blame him. Uncle Marcus was calm, like scary calm. He'd planned everything down to the second. At 4:00 p.m. sharp, his lawyer walked in. No announcement, no small talk. Just this serious man in a crisp navy suit holding a thick manila folder like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Aunt Lisa's smile froze on her face like someone had hit pause. She tried to act casual. "Oh, Marcus, I didn't realize you invited him." Uncle Marcus gave her a cold smile. He had some urgent paperwork. We all moved inside. The music kept playing outside, but inside that perfectly decorated living room, silence. Uncle Marcus said, "Family only." Everyone else filed out fast. Even the DJ poked his head in and wisely decided not to ask questions. It was just us. Me, Rebecca, Michael, Aunt Lisa, Derek, my mom, and Uncle Marcus with his lawyer. The lawyer started laying out documents on the coffee table. Bank statements, email threads, screenshots, photos. So many photos of Aunt Lisa and Derek, together, on trips, at restaurants, in hotel lobbies, and not the family-friendly kind of hotel photos either. Aunt Lisa's smile cracked. My mom looked like she'd forgotten how to breathe, and Derek actually tried to bluff. "These are fake," he said, laughing, like it was some harmless prank. "Come on, Lisa, tell them." But then came the recording. Uncle Marcus pulled out a speaker and played an audio file. Derek and Aunt Lisa, planning everything, laughing about how clueless everyone was, joking about how Marcus will never see it coming. My mom's face, "Oh my God, I wish I could have taken a picture." She froze, like completely, like her soul just left the building. Aunt Lisa started talking fast. "This is taken out of context. It's not what it sounds like." But then Uncle Marcus dropped the iPad. Her iPad, the one Michael had found everything on. He started reading their messages out loud. Every line, every emoji, every pet name. "You're the only one I want to wake up next to Lisa, baby. Soon we'll be free of all this." Marcus is too distracted with the laundromat girl to notice. Yeah, that one hit hard. Aunt Lisa made a break for it, tried to run for the door, but she didn't get far. Because guess who walked in next? The FBI. 2 agents, badges, calm voices, handcuffs. "Lisa Anderson, you are under arrest for wire fraud and embezzlement." She started crying, real ugly crying, screaming how she was set up, how she was being framed. Derek backed away like he could vanish into the couch cushions, but the agents turned to him next. "Derek Williams, you are also under arrest. You have the right to remain silent." He yelled something about a misunderstanding. We had a good explanation. We were going to pay it back. "Sure, Derek. With what monopoly money?" The agents cuffed them both and led them out the front door, right past the party guests. You could hear the whispers ripple through the crowd. Phones came out. Videos were taken. Even the DJ stopped the music mid-song. But you know what the worst part was? Neither of them looked at Michael or Rebecca. Not once. They didn't apologize. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't even glance at their kids. Michael sat down on the couch, shoulders shaking. Rebecca stood frozen, arms crossed, tears silently sliding down her cheeks. My mom, she collapsed onto the love seat and started sobbing into her overpriced handbag. Not because Derek betrayed her, but because she'd signed everything over to him months ago, trusted him with her savings, her accounts, even what was left of my dad's life insurance. He'd drained everything. She had nothing left. The FBI guys left. The guests awkwardly filtered out. The party was officially over. And the fallout, just getting started. The weeks that followed were chaos. The FBI investigation kept growing. More documents, more bank accounts, more lies. Turns out Aunt Lisa and Derek had been planning this for over a year. Fake companies, fake vendors, fake receipts, offshore accounts in the Bahamas, secret credit cards, hidden passwords. And the most disgusting part, They'd stolen from everybody. The business, Uncle Marcus, charities, even their own kids. Michael and Rebecca's college funds were basically gone. Wiped out. Rerouted into Derek's secret accounts. Some of it was laundered through fake donations to fake nonprofits that never actually helped anyone. And my mom, she was wrecked. Not just emotionally, financially. She had nothing left. Derek had used her as a front. He'd signed her name onto papers she never read, drained her bank accounts, maxed out her credit cards, and used the last of my dad's life insurance to fund his secret escape with Aunt Lisa. I should have felt satisfied. Like karma finally delivered, right? But I didn't feel anything. I was just tired. Tired of being angry. Tired of holding everything together. So I focused on what I could control. The laundromat, my apartment, my classes, and surprisingly, Michael and Rebecca. They moved in with me. No warning. Just knocked on my door one night, carrying suitcases and tear-streaked faces. Rebecca was the first to speak. We don't know where else to go. I didn't say anything, just opened the door wider and stepped aside. It was weird at first. Cramped, crowded. One tiny bathroom, one futon, one twin bed. We took turns. We shared clothes. We ran out of hot water almost every day. But we made it work. Michael got a job at the laundromat, and turns out the kid is weirdly brilliant with machines. He fixed an industrial dryer in under 10 minutes that 2 repair guys couldn't figure out. Jerry gave him a bonus on the spot. Rebecca, for all her cheerleader energy and too good for polyester attitude, was surprisingly amazing with customers. She'd smile, charm chat, then talk them into paying extra for the big load cycles. Even Jerry was impressed. Uncle Marcus started training all 3 of us, not just on laundry, on business, invoices, inventory, management, taxes, negotiation. He pulled us into meetings, gave us homework, challenged us to come up with ideas to boost sales. He said, "I want the 3 of you to run this place someday." I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He saw something in us. Michael's mechanical skills, Rebecca's people skills, my numbers brain. He said we made the perfect team, that we reminded him of him and my dad back when they started out. Different strengths, same fire. He even told us more stories about Dad's stuff I'd never heard, like how Dad taught free night classes at a community center while running the laundromat, how he used to fix machines for low-income families for free, how he'd bring donuts every Friday for the staff, even when he couldn't afford them. He didn't have much, Uncle Marcus said one night, but he always gave. We visited Dad's grave together. Me, Michael, Rebecca, Uncle Marcus, all of us standing there, side by side in the cold. Rebecca held my hand. Michael set down a bouquet of red tulips, Dad's favorite. We didn't say much. We didn't need to. It wasn't the family I started with, but it was the one I had now. As for Aunt Lisa and Derek, jail, federal crimes, wire fraud, conspiracy, money laundering. They both tried to turn on each other in court, which was honestly kind of hilarious. They went from Lisa baby and Derek darling to Your Honor. It was all their idea in like 30 seconds flat. Rebecca and Michael had to testify. So did Uncle Marcus. Even I did. It was hard, but we got through it. Mom ended up in rehab. Not for drugs, for her mental health, for finally facing everything she'd been pretending didn't exist. The grief, the guilt, the loneliness. She called me from the facility once, left a voicemail. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said, "but I hope someday you can understand. I don't know if I ever will, but I'm working on it." The funny thing is, I never thought I'd end up here, running a laundromat, living in a tiny studio with my former bullies turned siblings, drinking bad coffee out of a chipped mug while balancing accounting sheets and machine repair logs. But somehow, I'm okay. Actually, more than okay. I'm thriving. I got a scholarship to finish my degree in business. I still work part-time at the laundromat while I study. Michael's taking night classes in engineering. Rebecca's thinking about opening a customer service consulting business. Seriously, who is this girl? Uncle Marcus still watches us, still tests us. but now he does it with a smirk and a, let's see what you've learned. We're a team now, and every time I walk into that building, the one where I once scrubbed gum off machines at 3 a.m. just to survive, I remember something Uncle Marcus said to me the night he handed me that key. Your dad wanted you to learn to be strong.
And I did.
I learned that strength isn't always loud. It's not in the yelling or the revenge or the comebacks. Sometimes strength is just getting through the night, waking up, trying again, surviving long enough to build something better. And now I manage that laundromat, my laundromat. I have a home, a future, and a family flawed, complicated, but real. All because when everything fell apart, I didn't give up. I didn't break. And that made all the difference.